Oh, well, hello, everybody. It's good to see you. It's us here at Who's Views. And look, I'm with Third Doctor Ian and I'm with Bedweer.
Good evening,
Hooray!
everyone.
Oh,
And look very closely, actually, Who Views, because you may see that, as usual, Bedweer is addressed appropriately for this particular theme on the show. Because there he is with a Fifth Doctor top on. And that's the subject of this particular show because, did you hear today? BBC Studios, to the enormous relief of millions of fans who are actually out there buying the standard edition version of the Blu-rays, have now announced that, yes, at last, they're back with season 20. A wonderful season. So we're going to take a trip all the way back to the Doctor's 20th anniversary in 1983. I'm going to say it again, 1983. Oh, what a time to be alive, Ian. We can't say that to Bedweer because he wasn't born at that particular point.
no, he doesn't qualify, does he? But he did not get his life passport stamped in that year, so no, he doesn't qualify. But it was very exciting. You know, we'd just come off the back of, you know, that big build-up, hadn't we? And the announcements about what was happening in Longleat and everything, and it was just a bonkers year, really, and really, you know, thinking back, it gets you feeling quite sad in a way for what was, and just the fact that it's such a long time ago now. Yeah. What a time.
As I keep saying to Doctor Who fans, if you weren't there, you missed out. This was the year of our Woodstock, basically, for Doctor Who fans. Nothing's touched it since. You know, nothing has touched it. It was so special. It was so big. Doctor Who was everywhere. From the moment it started in January '83 with Arkham Infinity, it was everywhere for the whole year. I was only 13, Bedweer, but I seem to remember everybody knowing that Doctor Who was 20 years old because it was being featured on practically everything. You know,
I mean, 2013 was pretty special. I mean, I guess for me, I was very much immersed into it at the time. So I'd like to think that, you know, they're comparable, but yeah, I can't imagine the excitement of you get Arc of Infinity and then you follow it up with, you know, the Return of the Mara and the Brigadier, and
absolutely,
so much goes on.
I enjoyed the 2013 thing at the Excel Centre and everything, but I think if you took everybody that attended over both days, that's a fraction that attended Longleat in one day because they completely underestimated it. You know, when we were leaving for the train back, looking for the car to take us to the station on the way back on the second day, there were still people coming in, and it was insanity, absolutely insanity, total lack of preparation and everything. But it was great as well. You know, mainly because we got in. I wouldn't have found it great if we were in one of the cars still trying to get in.
Like hundreds and hundreds of people did, and it was a very hot day. The people that were, it was really weird actually, because remember Radio 2 was saying, don't come down, don't get in the car, don't get on the train, don't come down. You won't get in, you won't get in. Nobody paid a blind bit notice. Happy days indeed. It's good to see you all in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Steve Braddock is saying to us, it's great having a Who's Views back on a Wednesday night, and he's got a lovely picture of a Wirren there. Well, I'm glad you think so, Stephen, because we're back next Wednesday as well. That's all I'm saying right now. But get ready, because you'll be seeing a lot of our ugly mugs. And the Forbidden Man is also saying, yay, midweek fun. I hope he means for the channel.
Also, we're back.
I hope so. Yeah.
There's lots of you that have said with us tonight. Great to see you. What's this? Oh, yeah, Steve also saying to us, 1983 was a great year for Who, films and music. PTA, when Doctor Who was great. Happy times. I always remember the haircuts. Remember Kachagugu, everybody, as well. I was entering my teenage years, so long ago. Legion. I loved Kachagugu. Do you remember Lamal and those big pointy hair? Toya, something similar. You know, so, I'm going to grow up like my mother. No, you're not. That was the end of that conversation. And here's Woodhouse122 saying the season. He's putting us back on track. The season 20 collection is a great set. Glad it's getting a standard release for those that buy them. Absolutely, absolutely. Because we've been waiting a while. We've been waiting a while for this as well. What's this from Private Account? Do you know, I'm always thinking of Tina Turner when I see you now, private account, for private dancing. Yeah, I want to sing. Well, I'm not allowed though, am I? Proud from me, but I was born in 98. Oh, well, you missed some good times, I tell you. My era was the David
You
Tennant.
missed them again.
Yeah, mind you, I was around there and I seem to have missed them all as well, because I don't remember a thing that went on. My era was David Tennant mostly, which no doubt pains Ian. As I've grown, I've become extremely fond of the earlier years for Who. Nice to deep dive in. The brilliant thing about Private Account with the original series box set is you can dive into this, and you can hear to all of us that were there, and you can actually decide whether or not you want to go and look at this. But this one, I have to say, well, this was one of my favorite series, and I know it gets flack. Probably from people that were slightly older than me. I don't know. And some people that were the same. But I loved it from the moment it was broadcast in January 1983. I was there. I was into it. And I loved it. It was on twice a week back then. I can't remember if it was a Tuesday and a Wednesday or something like that, Ian. Can't remember because they messed it around every year.
It moved about a bit.
Yeah. So it was on twice a week.
I can't remember exactly, to be honest. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I always thought Monday was one of the days, but then, you know, it was such a long time ago.
Wasn't that 90? It was. I can't remember. And we didn't care, did we, back in those days? Though? No. We just got on with it. We just thought, oh, Doctor Who twice a week. How lovely. But here we go then. Let's have a look at this, because we are going to look at it. For all those of you who got the limited edition already, come on into the chat and let us know what your favorite features are as we go through this, so we can let people like me who will be buying the standard editions, and Legion of James, who's looking forward to this as well, and everybody else that's looking forward to this standard edition, what's going to be coming on the disc. So right back to 1983, and of course it is Peter Davison's second season as the Doctor. The stories are, as you all know, Arc of Infinity, Snake Dance, Mordrin Undead, Terminus, Enlightenment, and the King's Demons, and as an extra special, as we all know, the 5 Doctors to round off the year that November. And yes, I am still sore about that. Anyway, never mind. That'll go to my grave.
It was outrageous, wasn't it? It really was outrageous.
It really was. And I'm never ever going to let it go.
No.
Bloody children. So anyway, yes, they're all the stories there. We're going to be looking at some of the stories. What are your memories of the stories as well? Or if you're new to it as well, if you've only just discovered them, wow, welcome to Doctor Who, because this was proper Doctor Who. So what you've got here on this, let's look at the press release, which is basically the same as we've wrote the limited edition one. Celebrating the 20th anniversary of the programme, these stories feature the return of old friends, enemies, and even past Doctors. Over 7 exciting stories, the 5th Doctor, Nyssa, Tegan, and Turlough face off against the Black Guardian, Omega, the Mara, the Master, Cybermen, and the Time Lords themselves. We're a list, eh, guys?
That's
like
amazing. Greatest hits almost, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things that got me right at the beginning of, it was either the end of 82 or the beginning of 83. No, it must be the end of 82, when the Monthly, through John Nathan Turner, announced that he was putting something from the Doctor's past in each of the stories. And I wet myself, Bedweer. Because in those days, that didn't happen. In these sorts of days, it's 10 a penny. But in those days, it didn't happen. And we knew that the 5 Doctors, well, it wasn't called the 5 Doctors then, but we knew that that was coming. So that was exciting as well.
But I guess, you know, does the Mara count? You'd only just had it, but...
Oh, yeah. Something from the Doctor's past. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it seemed a bit of a cheat, didn't it? A bit, when you realised that 3 of the stories, the returning baddie was the same one with the Black Guardian. But it was still really, really, really exciting, because, like JT says, it just wasn't done back then at all. You know, and of course that season was going to have the Daleks as well, wasn't it? Which eventually Warhead got canned and came back the following year. But otherwise, it would have been even more. But it's a shame, really, in its anniversary year, it suffered from a industrial action and a postponement. But
well, there were strikes everywhere then, Ian. Do you remember on the television?
Yeah,
you know, all these people. You know, it was horrific what was going on the BBC when you look at it from today's eyes. You know, but no, I didn't mind that. I mean, how long had we waited for the Black Guardian to come back from that last moment in the Key to Time? Where I'll get you, Doctor, and your little dog too. You know, I mean, it was a case of like been waiting ever since. And when you got rid of the randomizer, well, the clock was ticking, wasn't it? Really? So I was delighted. Yeah.
We had that reminder, hadn't we, with Fourth Doctor's regeneration, where the Black Guardian featured in the little compilation, and you're like, oh, he was really good, because he was really good. I found when he was in all negative, I found the Black Guardian as a much younger person, obviously, very, very, very scary. Yeah.
I agree. Hi, Jess. How are you? Good to take a break momentarily from the havoc the so-called online safety bill is leaving in its wake.
Ugh.
I'm having nightmares about that, Jess. I swear to you, I'm having nightmares about that. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Digby's saying to us, watching back, I really enjoyed Snake Dance. Frankie's saying to us, early 80s strikes galore. Yeah. It's things like this when I look back through documentaries and stuff of what was going on, that I realized how much my mum and dad protected me from the nonsense that was going on and gave me a superb childhood, you know, because it must have been tough for them with the money going the way it was going and prices going up, and you know, and I'm into Doctor Who and Star Wars and Blake Seven and all these other things, and how tolerant they were. We're very lucky. What else we got? Stephen Braddock saying, I was always disappointed with the quality on the original DVD release of The Five Doctors, as it was so dark. In the cave scene, you could see the Yeti, but you couldn't see the Yeti, but in this, you can. Yeah, it's lovely and clear. We'll come to that in a second. Bill is with us. Hello, Bill. Can't call him a him or a black now. Tough, because we're going to... He's called the Black Guardian, and that's the end of it. And Tony Farrell's TARDIS saying to us, guys, greetings one and all. Valentine Dale had a deliciously creepy voice. That's what made him so scary. And I think it was so clever as well, because our parents knew Valentine Dale for all sorts of things on the radio and some television. And then he was introduced through Doctor Who as the Black Guardian to a new generation, and we were just as scared of him. Well, how lovely was that, you know, because that's what we liked. We liked being scared.
I remember an old relative of mine saying, oh yeah, the Man in Black, he terrified us all on the radio. So I think that's what he was known as, the Man in Black. So, which is impressive considering you're on the radio, so nobody can see if you're wearing pink and yellow, can they? But that voice just, you know, he's up there with the notable voice actors like Stephen Thorne and people like that, isn't he?
He's, definitely. Top of the game. What have we got here as well? We've got private accounts saying to it, it's nuts to hear you all talk about the 80s so vividly when you don't look a day over 30. Well, God love you. Wish I felt the same way as I did when I was 30. Everything's falling to bits. But yeah, thank you for that. The 80s, though, when it comes to Doctor Who, there's so many things about Series 20 private account that I could tell you about linking to the 80s, like being at school and getting a new Ferguson Video Star video recorder, and then me starting to go home so that I could watch Snake Dance again during my lunch and Mordrin Undead, and then walk back to school. So I had my Doctor Who fix during the day. So Stephen Ginny Frith with us as well. And John Roberts saying to us, I always had a soft spot for the Peter Davison era. The thing was, it was over so blooming quick, wasn't it, John?
It was.
You know, it just felt. In 1983, we got the news he was leaving, and I was gutted at the time. Absolutely gutted. Rose Kirby's with us. What's this? Hi, folks. Happy International Friendship Day. Oh, and to you. And hope you're having a nice National Cheesecake Day.
Oh, what?
No one told me there was a Cheesecake Day.
How was I not aware of this?
That's not fair.
No, it's not. Fair. That's outrageous. I'll have to make up for it tomorrow until I'm sick. I love a nice cheesecake with a nice coffee, don't you? Oh, lovely.
I'll skip the coffee, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I've turned into one of the Golden Girls. Now, if you get that reference, back to the 80s, there we go. Let's have a look at let's have a look at this as well. We'll go back to the press release. All the episodes have been newly remastered for the best available sources, including original film elements of the Five Doctors, and these classic adventures have never looked or sounded so good on home media. The collection season 20 Blu-ray box set includes extensive special features, including the Five Doctors 40th Anniversary Edition, which is a brand new version of the 90-minute anniversary special with updated special effects, Dolby Atmos and surround sound, plus an exclusive new commentary with Davison, Fielding and Strickson. There are updated 2023 special effects, which are exclusive to this Blu-ray on Snake Dance and Enlightenment. Behind the Sofa, which is always a favourite of mine. 7 new episodes with Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Sarah Sutton, Janet Fielding, Mark Strickson, Katie Manning, and Sophie Aldred. We've got the Blu-ray trailer, which was that thing with the Mara you might all remember out there, where Tegan is supposedly meeting Nyssa again. It's left up to yourself on that one, isn't it? I can't remember what it was called. But what was it called?
Oh, I can't remember what it was called.
I can't remember. It's called. The one with the Mara in. That'll do. And we've also got Matthew Sweetback chatting to Janet Fielding and Sarah Sutton. We've got Look Who's Driving, where Peter Davis and Janet Fielding and Sarah Sutton go on a European road trip. And similarly, Let's Go Dutch. Somebody said that to me once and I said, bugger off. The TARDIS crew travelled to Amsterdam to revisit, well, it was his own fault. The TARDIS crew travelled to Amsterdam to revisit locations and reminisce about season 20 and their time on the programme. When Janet met Martin, which is Janet Fielding chatting to Martin Cludes, who made his television debut in Snake Dance. Making the King's Demons, making the season 20 trailer, Longleat celebration footage, which will be good to see, studio footage, location film rushes, rare convention footage from Australia, Once Upon a Time, which is a rare US documentary from the 80s. New 5.1 surround sound mixes on Snake Dance, The Five Doctors, plus Dolby Atmos mixes on The Five Doctors. Archive treats, HD photo galleries, info text, PDF archives, including scripts, exclusive unseen BBC production files, the Radio Times 20th anniversary special, and other rarities. So there's a lot on this, and it's a lovely way to celebrate the show's 20th anniversary, I think.
Yeah, it really is.
I think it is the biggest box set because it's 9 discs, isn't it?
9 discs. Yeah.
I assume the standard version is still 9 discs. So, and I'm just glancing, and I think it is still the biggest box set so far. I mean, The Five Doctors is over 3 discs for a start.
I know. Yeah, I've been lucky enough to actually, thanks to Darren Reed, see some of the season 20 box set now, which is wonderful. The first thing I went to was Behind the Sofas, and the second thing I went to was this 40th anniversary of The Five Doctors, because I was never happy with that other version that they did. You know, the one that starts with the sets in the Death Zone in the Dark Tower.
Yeah. Well, that's what they showed in the BFI now 2 years ago, so September 23.
Oh, was it?
And it was superb, yeah. See it on the big screen as well.
Yeah, the new version is very nice. I like the new effects for the obelisks, like the time scoops, which look more Dark Tower to me, if that makes sense.
Less ice cream cone.
Yeah, or Walnut Whip.
Walnut Whip, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, Stephen Braddock is saying to this as well. The time scoop effects in this version of The Five Doctors are the definitive best. It's a very enjoyable story, actually, this new version. I think they've done it quite nicely. It's just a shame John's not around to give it its blessing or not.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, that's the sad thing, really. But I mean, it's true to the original, isn't it? It doesn't dice it around or try and change the narrative. It just enhances what we've got. So I'd like to think that he'd be happy with it.
I hope so.
And wish that he could have probably had access to the effects and everything that exist now, because I mean, it was very much still BBC Micro, wasn't it, when it first went out, with like the lasers on the Cybermen and things like that. Was very much
state of the art at the time.
Yeah. Plus all the film sequences look fantastic.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. We're very lucky that so much of it was on film, Bedouin.
Yeah, all that stuff, you know, the Eye of Orion early on with, you know, Davison, you know, with his companions is just fab. Just looks gorgeous.
It is. I totally agree. Legion of James is asking, does the Blu-ray have the original and the special edition versions of The Five Doctors previously released on DVD on it as well?
You've got a press release?
Well, yes, it does.
I mean, it's got the transmission version, and then what's the other one?
The special edition.
Yeah, there's a special. Yeah, the special edition. But I mean, which version of the special edition is that? Is that the VHS release? But it's more likely to be the DVD release that was spruced up a little bit more. Yeah. I can't.
But they're all there. They're all there, mate. They are there. You get quite a big. You get about 2 discs, I think, for the 5 Doctors.
3.
Is it 3? And they're all on it. You know, there's some good stuff there. On this as well, you're also getting, there's a lot. Many of you who were there at the time will remember Doctor Who on Blue Peter, Nationwide, Breakfast Time. They're all there. It's all on this. It's just brilliant.
This series was actually really well handled for the DVD range. So you've still got all of that content as well.
Yeah.
And they've chucked even more on top. You know, it's such a good box set, honestly. If you've not got it already, this is the time to go and get a copy.
Absolutely, totally agree. Because it was announced today, everybody, by BBC Studios. It is Doctor Who: The Collection Season 20 Standard Edition. You can pre-order it now from all the usual retailers. It's going to be released on the 29th of September, so not long to wait. And it's got a recommended retail price of $34.99. Yes, $34.99, which is a bit of a bargain, I think.
For 9 discs, absolutely a bargain.
It is, isn't it? When you compare it to some others. Yeah. Once again, as well, I'd like to say a huge congratulations to everybody involved with the box set, because guess what? The standard edition, like everything else in this Blu-ray box set, is at number 1 in the charts on Amazon. 3 of them. I you know, every time we do one of these shows, I have a look, and there it is, bang, straight in at number 1. So congratulations again, everybody. Well done. Not bad for a re-release, eh? Shows us an audience for both.
How is 5 Doctors doing against Spearhead from Space as potentially the most released story? They've got to be up there, haven't they? They're in contention, I'm sure.
Well, let's have a look. We had 2 VHSs, didn't we? We had 2 DVDs, and now we've had it on 2 Blu-rays, standard and exclusive, limited edition. So what's that, 6?
But Spearhead had the. Did you include in your DVDs? Did you include the Steelbook?
Oh, I didn't know, because it's got the Steelbook of that.
Probably
you've given them an idea now, Ian. They'll be bringing out a 5 Doctor Steelbook for the next anniversary, I can tell you.
I'm surprised they haven't.
I know.
I think there were actually 3 versions of it on VHS.
Was there? Was there?
I think so, because it came out very early on in 85. I think. Then it got another release with a different cover and a bit of an edit, and then you had the box with King's Demons, which was
yes,
mid-90s. Right. So I think it had 3 VHS releases.
So they must be on a par, mustn't they? You know, between Spearhead from Space and the 5 Doctors. There you go. Yeah,
close.
And the 5 Doctors, of course,
version, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Although that didn't go out individually, I don't think, but there was the episodic version as well.
Yeah. And the 5 Doctors was the one that launched the DVD range in 1999 here in the UK.
Yeah.
And was the bestseller out of all 5 of the BBC's pilots. Sounds like there's a lot of stuff, says the Forbidden Man. It is. It's packed full of stuff. And Stephen Jeannie Frith saying, going on a trip soon by train to the Who shop in London. Can't wait. Yeah, well, that'd be a nice few hours out for you. Say hello to everybody. Say to Alex and the team hello from Who's Views, the lovely Alex. And Legion of James is saying, ooh, lovely, in that voice. So that's good to know, isn't it? Old school trumps modern again, says Dunky the Funkin' Evans. It does, because if you look at where the latest show is, well, it's down there in the hundreds.
Funnily enough, I had an email today about I think San Diego Comic-Con and the Forbidden Planet sort of exclusives, and they have all their sort of pin badges, but they've collated them for various eras, and the like 70s monsters, and I can't remember what the other classic era box was. Right, they were close to £100. The Shooting Gatwa era one you could get for less than half. Same amount of pin badges, same box, kind of layout, I imagine. But yeah, there's a difference, isn't it?
Well, he's a budding Hollywood star, Bedway. He's a budding Hollywood star.
Well, which would you rather? An Auton pin badge or a Man-Trap pin badge? Whatever those weird alien things that gave people a hug.
From Dot and Bubble.
That's the one.
Oh, yeah. I thought they were just called slugs.
Slugs.
Oh,
that was shooty.
But yeah, Well, that's stupid. Yeah, you go for the original stuff any day of the week, wouldn't you? Really? Yeah, you can actually see the difference for those of you new to this who are thinking about, and I would recommend this, like the guys here. This is a great series. I've loved it since its broadcast in 1983, and I don't care. But the body of work on this box set, when it comes to the stories, is Doctor Who, and it's incomparable. It's far superior with anything that's been broadcast and given to you in recent years. This stuff is good stuff. I mean, when you look at Arkham Infinity, it deals with the Time Lords. Then it goes to Amsterdam. Hurrah! And then Snake Dance has to be one of the most... That with Kinder, it's very scary. And it's a psychological thriller, in a sense, isn't it? It's really out there. And the music is great.
To say it's largely or entirely studio, it has, I'd say probably with the exception of the market, it has really quite a rich feeling to it, and they really build up that culture that was on that was existent on Manusa. It just really got backstory to it. Fantastic script.
Yeah, and of course it's been said many times over the years, Janet Fielding is superb in her role as the Tegan and the Mara, because we lose Tegan on those two stories for quite some substantial time, and it gives her a time to do this really malevolent, horrible force, which is very spooky, suggesting that there's, in the evils of your mind, there's this entity. When you think about it, but it must have, there's a lovely interview here that was on the DVD with Chris Bailey, who wrote it, isn't there? And it's no wonder he didn't write again, because it must have exhausted him.
I mean, you talk about world building, as you say, it totally nails it.
Yeah, it does. It does. But yes, so there's lots of stuff going on season 20 as well, isn't there? So we've got lots to talk about that. A lot of you were talking about the let's have a look if I've got that there, because I thought this was very good as well. Yeah, Stephen Braddock saying the road trip is bloody hilarious, and Julianne saying look who's driving is hilarious. I have to say, it was absolutely. Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
It's been a while since obviously I had the box set, but I don't think I got through it.
Didn't you?
No, because it started out with just this really long period of them in the car talking about absolutely nothing, and it didn't
just
engage.
Like their episodes, though. No, I'm kidding.
But it just wasn't. I couldn't get it. I had to turn it off. I don't think I watched it all.
Did you?
I couldn't. I was so bored.
Oh,
honestly,
really?
There was nothing in the conversation that really gripped me. I liked the three of them together.
Yeah.
I couldn't get through it.
That's interesting.
It's a really long feature, isn't it? It goes on for ages.
Oh, yeah, it is. But I thought it was exactly what I expected, because when we did the limited edition show, where they announced the limited edition, I thought, oh, that's going to be interesting. Peter, Janet, and Sarah in a car on the way from Britain to a Doctor Who convention in Germany. And it was for me, because they're such good friends all these years. And the fact that they are still good friends all these years says so much about their original working pattern and getting on together. It really does. I mean, they've been through weddings, divorces, children, deaths, marriages, births, all sorts, these three together. And I love their relationship. And I love the fact that Janet is always getting a Peter. And it's always done with tongue in cheek. And he just, typical bloke, he's so used to being nagged now. He just takes it. I thought it was really funny. The setup of it, though, where he's driving around trying to find where are you? Where are you? I just thought that's typical. That's me. where the hell is this place? Oh, I do you know what got me about it as well? After their adventures driving down, and the stories they're telling, and the camaraderie and the relationships, I thought it was so touching when they got to the hotel where the convention was, and the fans were outside waiting for them. And I thought that was lovely, and they were so pleased to see them, and the fans were so pleased to see them. That's what fandom used to be like. It used to be quite warm, and I got that feeling coming back, just as I did in the Let's Go Dutch one as well. That was nice, because that involved fans too. But there you go.
Yeah, but I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed that feature. That was really good.
What did you like about that one then?
I mean, just the incorporation, as you say, of some fans. It just, because I think that's so Doctor Who. That's because it, I imagine even when they went out to Amsterdam in 83 or 82, probably
82, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure there were people watching them, and you had fans who had got wind to the fact that they were filming in Amsterdam and would have been watching the filming, and that's part of the buzz of doing stuff like Doctor Who on the streets, because there's immediately that interest. I know from my own experience, having done stuff on the streets of Cardiff. Like, if you say, if they recognise it's Doctor Who, then people are interested in taking a minute to watch. If it's anything else, that just carry on with the day. But Doctor Who does grip people's attention, and when it's the fans, it's that relationship between the actors and the audience.
Yeah. I just love the look on the Dutch fans' faces when they suddenly realise who's on the boat welcoming them down.
Yeah.
Go, I think that was so special because for those of you who haven't seen it yet, what happens is the fans go there. They're asked to go to this particular rendezvous point, but they're not told why. So they're going around the locations of Amsterdam for Arc of Infinity, which fans do. Loads of fans do every year. It's fabulous. So they go to this particular what's it called? Barge, I suppose. And then suddenly Peter and Janet and Sarah and Mark Strickson come out there, and all the fans are like, yeah, and then they just have a lovely time basically on the barge, have a little drinky poo, ask questions, we'll have a bit of cake. It's lovely. It's really nice. So I recommend both of those. Really would. The only time Janet
rewatch.
Yeah. Oh, you've got to, because I thought it was hilarious. Duncan the Funky Heaven saying the only time Janet goes quiet is when she's driving, and as for Sarah's driving, oh yeah.
I've got to be honest. I like the road trip, even though, like you say, Bedwyr, it's a lot of talking about pretty much nothing really. But it's if they were sat next to you in a pub and you were on the next table and you just happened to realise where they were and you heard all that going on, you'd be entranced.
Yeah,
you'd be like, God, these people, and you'd love it. And it's sort of like, just reminds me of that really. I mean, if I'd seen them like that, I'd be wanting to join in, just stupid, pointless banter between friends where you talk for ages but say pretty much nothing because you're just having fun.
I get that. But watching a program, I felt it just needed a bit more trimming. It needed a bit more cutting.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair enough. Have another look at it though. See what you think. Frankie saying to us, the car thing sounds like the show Peter did with Chris Timothy on Channel 4. It is, and he even references it in this one.
Original ideas.
Yeah, but we all know Peter Davison is so funny. He's got an amazing sense of humor and great comic timing. And I would still say, Peter, if you ever catch this, I'd love to see a comedy written by you. Never mind all the PC stuff, ignore them all. I'd like to see another one. Go to Netflix or something, because you are funny. And television, you are funny. I think that'd be brilliant. But it comes out in this. They are just so, it's even the odd look he gives the camera, Woodhouse122 saying to you, the driving program could have been cut a little. We didn't need to see Janet spouting poetry in a German forest. Now that was a point, actually. I thought, what the hell is she doing? She made this whole thing about stopping at the German forest just so she could reenact or read some German poetry. And poor Peter and Sarah, while she's in character doing this presentation, and that's why they're late for the convention.
It'd have been more fun if she'd reenacted the Panzer thrust into the Ardennes, but I don't suppose she had the equipment, did she? Really?
No. Well, we'll move on. Yes. Thank you for your super chat, Mark Greaves. Hi, JT. As I told you, I had bad news about my job. Yes, I hope you're okay. But I'll be damned if I can treat myself to proper Doctor Who with this box set. Absolutely, Mark. And I hope you're looking into that as well, because I reckon you're due some money there, mate. Anyway, keep in touch. I won't gossip about it on here, but keep in touch. What else we got here? Julianne saying, I love the road trip. Mates being dead funny. That's all it was. It was just three people who enjoy each other's company and make it look like they don't. Oh, Steve and Jeannie Frith. Have you ever heard the old disproved fan myth that Kate Bush wrote Kinder? Yes. Happy birthday to Kate Bush. It's her birthday today. She's 76, I think, and something like that. But yes, that was a long time ago as well, wasn't it? I couldn't believe that one. I was like, what? Yeah, there were the days, Ian, where you had to actually write to people and ask people, is this thing about Kate Bush true?
Yeah, everything was done by. I lost count of the number, and I wouldn't have been the only one, but I lost count of the number of times I wrote to production office and JNT, and he always wrote back. Such a nice guy.
Yes, yeah. The Doctor Who production office was famous, and you'd always get signed postcards of the characters. I had a whole collection of them, and I lost them. But yeah, the whole collection of them, all from the production office, all signed. Absolutely happy days, really were. But yeah, and Sarah in there as well, the secretary, she must have been typing like mad. But there we go. What else we got? Now I have to say as well, you'll know who views that I love Behind the Sofa, and that's the first thing I tend to go to because I know the stories well. So I'll tend to go and see what the other people think about this from the show. Aren't Colin and Sylvester funny together?
Yes.
Have you watched this one, Ian?
I've got to be honest. The Behind the Sofas aren't my favourite bit, but I have seen those. I know, but I have seen those two interacting, and they have something, don't they? They have this chemistry. They really do spark off each other. It's quite a joy to watch. Really,
it's so funny. They are so funny together, honestly, and they're engrossed in these episodes, aren't they, Bedouin, as well? They're watching these things, and I can't just help thinking, if Sylvester's thinking, I never got anything like this, and Colin's thinking, oh look, there's me. Do you know? It's it must be very interesting to know what's going on in their heads as these two gentlemen are sitting there, you know, in the grand old age of 80 that the two of them are, because those chairs don't look very comfortable either.
No. Bit unforgiving.
Yeah. But they get on so well, and it's so lovely to see the 6th and the 7th incarnations of the Doctor watching the 5th. And they're full of praise for Peter, actually, aren't they?
Yeah, and rightly so. Peter's really good. And I'm kind of with you in some of these can be hit and miss. It really depends on the combinations of people you've had.
Yes.
I got, fairly irritated by one recently, but for this season, it is a good combination of people. And as you say, Colin and Sylv together. I mean, they kind of just visually look like a double act anyway. But
yeah, they do.
They do.
Yeah, sitcom, wouldn't it? That could be the sitcom that Peter writes.
You never know.
Yeah.
Well, it could be. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is that interesting perspective of these are the two guys that come after, reflecting on actually didn't get anything like that.
And then of course they have to watch the 5 Doctors as well.
Yeah.
So they're seeing Troughton and they're seeing Pertwee in there. So they never got this element. Okay, yeah, Colin got Troughton, but it wasn't the same, was it?
No,
really.
No, it wasn't. No.
It's very interesting, who views, to see them watching these episodes, and I think they enjoy it more than they don't enjoy it. They're not very full of criticism, I think. So it shows how the caliber of season 20, I think.
I think they're just generally very respectful people anyway, though, aren't they? They've been on the receiving end of flack as well. They know what it feels like with negative comment and everything like that. But I think they do genuinely like the material. But they're just very respectful and polite and funny. Genuinely funny.
I mean, everyone can sort of see the Ergon in Arc of Infinity and think, what on earth were they thinking there? That's a fair, observation.
Yeah.
But then that's kind of the fun of it, because then you get something as impressive as ships floating through space in Enlightenment. You think, wow, that's a really cool, unique idea. That's
that's interesting in the Behind the Sofa with Peter, Janice, and Sarah and themselves, isn't it? Because a lot of us, including myself, thought that was a really cool idea. Oh, we're not on a ship. We're on a spaceship. We're on a ship. I was blown away in 1983, but I thought that's really cool. I'd never seen anything like that. And then Peter sitting there, couldn't work.
In 1983, though, Enlightenment those ships in space could have been really difficult to do and ended up looking naff, but they looked really, really, really good. Even then, you know, I know the updated effects look fantastic.
They did, yeah.
Even the original one looked really good, I thought. Really did. It was impressive.
It's interesting you mentioned the CGI new versions of the ships there. I actually think I prefer the models. There's something about models I like.
Yeah.
And those original models from the original 83, very Oneidin line. I like those, you know. There's just something about them. But
they look beautiful, and just it was almost like they actually fitted in space, didn't they? It looked like that was where they were supposed to be, just floating through space. Wonderful.
I love Peter's "that wouldn't happen, solar winds, ha ha ha, that wouldn't happen." He's so so critical.
That's the writer in it.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Really, yeah, it is really. Oh, look at this from Duncan the Funky Evans. They should get Peter, Colin, and Sylv together for a behind the sofa on a Tom or a Pertwee season. Ooh, I'm not sure about that. And Richard is telling us, I've just pre-ordered my season 20 standard edition. They need to speed up the release of the standard range. Yes, they bloody do. Come on, everybody. Come on, please, please, please. We need to get up to scratch that. We need at least another one before Christmas, I think. I know that's pushing it with September coming, but 2 a year is not cutting the mustard, I'm afraid. It's not cutting the mustard. It really is. Robert Payne saying to us, if you had 12p for a stamp, you could write to people then. Well, I used to write to Saturday Superstore every other week to try and win something. Happy days, eh? Especially when Janet, Peter, and Mark were on for their pushing of Longleat, you know, on that Saturday morning. They gave away Doctor Who wallpaper, they gave away the music, you know, the album, the music. What else did they give away? They gave away the annual, all sorts of things they gave away. It was a great bargain.
Wasn't it?
Oh, it was happy days. I think I might have put 2 postcards in that year just in case, and I still didn't win. Terrible stuff, isn't it? Good to see you all. Thank you for joining us for this. We are celebrating the fact that at last another standard edition Blu-ray box set is on the way for Doctor Who fans. It's season 20. Lots on it as well. What else have we got here in the chat from you all? Stephen Jeannie Frith, 1983 must have been a banner year for Doctor Who. It's hard to say how big it was for Doctor Who in 83 if you weren't there. It was huge. As I say, it just felt like Doctor Who had just suddenly exploded because you just had this amazing 20th anniversary season. You knew the special was coming up in November. You had Doctor Who the music. You had Doctor Who a celebration. You had the Doctor Who Radio Times special. You had a Doctor Who Radio Times cover coming. Peter Davison was on all these things going. Then it was an announcement that he was leaving, and it was who's going to be the new Doctor. Then you found out. It was just all, and that was before the 5 Doctors was broadcast. Was that around about July or something? It wasn't it, Ian?
It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Yeah. 5 Doctors target novel a few days before the 5 Doctors was on telly, which
loved it.
Never happened since, before or since, but it happened there. But yeah, it was, you know, I mean, the 10th anniversary with the 3 Doctors, which was obviously groundbreaking because that's the first time they did a multi-Doctor. The 3 Doctors and the 10th anniversary special, which is just a seminal document, isn't it? It's a proper historical artifact that was good enough, but this blew any marking of the 10th anniversary out of the water. It was just massive. It was massive. And there'd been a general rekindling as well, hadn't there? Because a couple of years back, before Davison started properly, we'd had the 5 Faces of Doctor Who. And I think we'd just in 82, we'd just had Doctor Who and the Monsters, hadn't we? Which had shown, I think, Curse of Peladon and Genesis and Earthshock again. And we went straight into this. So it was definitely on the crest of a wave. It really was.
It was a great year. It was I just remember it being a brilliant year. And it was just an exciting year for Doctor Who. And the amount of merchandise.
We talk about strikes which were happening, and in the 80s the strikes got worse because we then had the miners in the mid 80s. But around 83, Britain as a whole, completely in contrast to now, Britain as a whole was feeling really good about itself because we'd just come off the back of the Falklands.
Falklands,
You know, so it was a huge stir in a national pride, and quite rightly so. And it was just a general good all round feeling. Britain was a good place to be. It was a good place to be.
It was. And of course, Doctor Who was being exported left, right, and centre. There was a massive convention in America, of course, that we all knew about in Chicago to celebrate the show's 20th anniversary. And it seemed that the entire cast went over to that to promote the show. Remember? I remember seeing pictures in Doctor Who Monthly, one of the specials, thinking, that looks rubbish.
Definitely where JNT started getting his taste for foreign conventions, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he really pushed it, didn't it? That's why it became the monster it was.
He worked really hard. Always undervalued how much JNT worked for this series. Yeah, really did for that show.
What else have we got here then? Yeah, so this, of course, is a big series in many ways. Not only is it the 20th anniversary, not only does it see people returning in every single episode, or baddies returning in every single episode, it does see the departure of Sarah Sutton as Nyssa and the arrival of Mark Strickson as Turlough in this particular season. So that's a mixed thing, isn't it, really? Well, I mean, what do you guys make of this when Nyssa leaves and Turlough climbs on board?
Personally, remembering back at the time, and I don't want to be sacrilegious, but I would have been quite happy for Tegan to have gone and Nyssa to have stayed, and nothing against Turlough, but not had Turlough. I think some Davison and Nyssa, Fifth Doctor and Nyssa stories, just the two of them, would have probably worked really, really well. I don't think they needed to keep a multi-companion dynamic. And I know by the time of season 21 and we got to Planet of Fire, it went back down again. But I'd have been quite happy with a smaller crew and keeping Sarah Sutton, which I thought was a shame, her going, really. But it was a nice different introduction, wasn't it? A companion that had the task of killing the Doctor was a little bit more edgy than normal. It wasn't your usual fluffy companion thing. So it was different, but not quite how I would have preferred it.
Somebody came to the season later on, Bedouin. What did this mean anything to you when Nyssa left and Turlough arrived?
I think it's really interesting because you do get that overlap of the two of them briefly, from Mordrin Undead into Terminus. So, I quite like Nyssa. I think she's a great companion and works really well with Fifth Doctor. I think you only have to look at Bogfanish spare parts. Like
brilliant!
The two of them work brilliantly on that, and it would have been nice to have had maybe one story of them, just the two, on screen anyway. I like the idea of Turlough being tasked by the Black Guardian to off the Doctor, but it doesn't. It needs a better resolution than we got, for me.
Right.
Turlough as a companion is interesting, and he doesn't, as you say, have that sort of starry-eyed, this person is amazing, I want to travel with them because they're going to show. And Tegan didn't have that either. She was very much a victim of circumstance and ends up traveling for longer than she would have liked until she starts to enjoy it. But for me, like the resolution doesn't really get as good a payoff as it should have done, given what the stakes are presented in Mordrin Undead.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think even looking back at it now, I think it was correct that Nyssa got a proper ending for her character, i.e. a scientific one. She left the Doctor to do what she was supposed to do, which was to be a scientist. That made sense. That was actually them thinking for once, because they could have so very easily done a Leela.
Yeah.
Either running off with Andrew or something like that, a Garm or something.
I do wonder if the fear was, we don't want the two of them together because it'll be a Third Doctor and Liz Shaw kind of dynamic again, which I'm not sure how much J&T would have been familiar with
Well,
that particular season, but they felt that didn't work at the time. I mean, we look back on it now and love it, but having two very scientific people talking scientifically doesn't work as well when your companion's got to be the one asking the basic question the viewer needs answering. So I can see why they possibly didn't go with it.
The other thing about that, though, is John had this thing about a combative companion, because what happened is that transferred to Perry. And that was one of the things I know many years later he regretted doing. The Doctor shouldn't be combative with the companion shouldn't be combative with the Doctor. They should be friends. They should be best friends. But I know that was one of his regrets. Oh, I shouldn't have done that with Tegan. I shouldn't have done that with Perry. No, you shouldn't have, quite frankly, because the Doctor would have dumped them at the first opportunity you got. Oh, I'm not going to be moaned at by this nuisance. Bang, off you go. Sure.
And the following year, I really quite enjoy Turlough, Tegan, and the Doctor. Those episodes, that they're in as a trio, I quite enjoy it. I think they do work well together. But at this stage, I think it only works, as I say, when you take out that element of Turlough's trying to kill the Doctor. And when you don't have that, it does work. But in this season, for me, it doesn't quite gel, because it needs that resolution. Either you have to get rid of Turlough or you have to get rid of the Doctor, and I'm obviously not going to do that. So,
Well, they did recently. I don't know why. Doesn't stop them nowadays, does it?
I think you could have. I think you could have had Nyssa remaining and being very technical, a la Liz Shaw, because I think. I mean, personally, I love the Liz Shaw Third Doctor relationship, and because she's very, very clever. Nyssa was very, very clever, but the Doctor is a Time Lord and way more advanced, so they can be asking mega clever stuff or technical questions and everything, but you can have the Doctor responding in such a simple way because he is so much more advanced, and it would just sort of like emphasize the human alien side of things, whereas we didn't always get that. We tended to go for the default, ultimately straightforward, standard human asking all the questions and screaming a lot, and that was just Turlough, with Tractators.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. That's true. I always, since 1983, I'm never quite sure when the Doctor clicks that Turlough is actually an enemy, because there's so many hints at it, even from Mordrin and Dead. The bit where he finds the crystal in the bed, and the way it's played and written, it's as though he recognizes the things, and he's running then, isn't he? Say, right, we've got to get back, or I'll never get the TARDIS back. And there's that bit where they go to the transmat pod. Turlough's figuring in his head how to work it out, and the Doctor's just standing there looking at him accusingly. And then the bit where he throws it up to him, yours, I think, is that when he realizes that Turlough's not all he seems to be, and there's more to him, and he allows him into the TARDIS because of that. Because I've had loads of people over the years saying to me, no, the Doctor doesn't know until Enlightenment. But surely he's not. The Doctor's not stupid. He must have some theory. And then when the TARDIS goes wrong dramatically in Terminus.
No, I've always read it as the Doctor's, if not fully aware, but definitely has an inkling that Turlough's, there's something up with Turlough, but it's not necessarily of his own choosing. And being someone who can see beyond what us mere mortals might see, that fits for the Doctor, is that he can pick up on those cues of Turlough ducking out to go and talk to his little crystal, and realizing that there's a power beyond this one guy. And he's got to work, but he's got to bring that guy on board in order to not just save him and save himself by defeating whatever the bigger entity, or whether, I don't think he knows that it's a Black Guardian. He might have his suspicions, but I've always read, particularly Mordrin and Dead, as the Doctor being aware that there's something additional, and that's why he needs to bring him on board so he can ultimately solve it, which we get by the time we get to Enlightenment.
I think the Doctor realizes it's the Black Guardian when the Black Guardian's standing there in front of him in a TARDIS corridor with the White Guardian. And that's when he goes, oh, everything falls into place. Oh, no, now I know what I'm up against. Yeah, because he starts to play the game a bit differently.
I think he definitely suspects Turlough of something quite early on. He's not stupid. He's been around the block a lot of times, and he sees this little crystal. And
that's a bit weird, isn't it?
I've been trying for ages, but there's nobody in. I think he must be out. But yeah, I think he knows something's amiss, but it's a little bit later, I think, before like you said, JT, before he cottons on that it's a Black Guardian. But I think he's wary with Turlough straight away, and he's just allowing him enough rope to see where ultimately it takes him, because he can see that he's a duplicitous person, because he sides with Rack as well, doesn't he? In Enlightenment and everything. And Doctor's quite wise to it.
I don't know how clear it comes across, really, but there's obviously the idea that Turlough isn't from Earth, but he's ended up in this school. So immediately that's of interest to the Doctor, because he will recognize, hang on, I'm not human. You're clearly not human. How have you got in a situation and where
True.
He will want to know more about that situation. And as a viewer, I kind of don't feel that was ever really properly explained as to how he ended up there. But that sort of thing again is just another reason for I'm gonna keep this guy a bit close for now, because I don't know what's quite going on with him.
Yeah. No, good. You've put my mind at rest, actually, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Yeah, exactly. Legion of James saying Nyssa was so underused for most of her time in the TARDIS. Tegan always got most of the focus. Private account saying to his question, if you had input into the creation of a new Doctor Who series that embodies the true spirit of the show, what key aspects would you include that feel missing in the hellscape of modern Who? Oh God, for me, everything about Doctor Who is missing in the hellscape of modern Who, as you call it, private account. So I would just actually use my love of the original series to continue it. And I would tell proper stories about the Doctor, and I certainly wouldn't be interested in any of the baggage that we've had in the reboot series. I would go back and just have good science fiction, fun stories with monsters of the stories, and just that element of the Doctor out there investigating, really, or just trying to live his life, really. I don't know. What about you guys?
I think I would go back, similar to you, JT, just go back to standard storytelling where the Doctor is just the hero, the companion is the assistant to help get him to that, heroic moment, and to explain to the audience what's going on. Just bring it back to basics rather than, as you say, like all this overarching, stuff about, who the Doctor is and the Doctor's origins and all this sort of, just go back to telling entertaining stories that, have that hook of a monster of the week or, a solid villain that's based on, just really simple. That's the evil person, not because of X, Y, and Z that, we're against, in our modern societies, but because they're just, alien and out for universal domination, that sort of stuff. Like, just really strip it back to basics.
And escapism as well, action adventure escapism. What about you, Ian?
I would ditch all 21st century Doctor Who. I would terminate all contracts with people like Doctor Who magazine and Bog Fanish, because I wouldn't want anything trailing over at all. It would have to be standing alone, and it would have to be fresh in the sense that it was not what we've had. I would ditch the Doctor numbering. I just wouldn't refer to it. I would try to, I think I agree with what you said previously, JT, with regards to having the Time Lords feature in it, in the use of using the Doctor like a puppet every now and again. Not one story every season, just every now and again. And maybe sometimes, like in Brain and Morbius, he's not sure if they are or not, because it's not implicitly stated. I think to make it successful, you have to, in some respects, play to what the general wider public. You don't make it for fans. You make it for good television, and you have to play to certain tropes that the public sees as memories of good Doctor Who. And I would start that by even going back to the style of the original Tom Baker, last season John Pertwee, time tunnel titles, and that variation of the theme. I want to ditch the orchestral bollocks because it's done to death and it's not very good. Go back to some electronic music or some proper Dudley Simpson style music.
I'd like to see different composers every story again.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Give it really good heart, but good engaging stories with a beginning, a middle, an end, and ditch the arcs, and have a really good male British actor in the role, and in the role for at least 4 years, just so you've got some continuity and you're not changing it every time they change their underwear.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope there you go, private account. I hope that answered your question. Thank you for the question. A good question, that one.
I'd have JT produce it as well, probably.
I wouldn't say no, let's be honest. And I wouldn't be a typical fan, i.e. like the ones we just had. I would certainly think about the bigger picture of how do we get the public back? That's the thing that would worry me more about anything else, because I know what I do with the show, but I haven't a clue how you get the public back.
Yeah, honestly. And producers of the past knew that, okay, well, if we bring the Daleks back to open the season, it's going to pull in an audience.
Yes.
There are ways of using returning monsters at an appropriate time. But now it's trotted out. The nostalgia baiting has gone too far, and it's not for the general audience. It's for the fans, and there are fewer and fewer of those that want to engage in the show.
What's the point with nostalgia when you're trying to push the show forwards? If you're always looking back, it can't go forward, can it? And
what's the point in nostalgia if you're going to change it? If that door had opened and Omega had been stood there in the costume that he had in the Three Doctors, that might have piqued my interest. But you brought Omega back and you just made it a CGI mess. What's the point? So there's no point in nostalgia when you're going to change it either, JT, I think.
Yeah, like you can have redesigns. We're talking about Arc of Infinity is a redesign of Omega. Okay, it's a new voice actor, but the character feels similar.
Yeah. It does feel similar. It's not a patch on the original one because it wasn't written by its original author, but then I am biased, as you'll all know. But I would rather take Ian Collier's season 20 Omega over that crap we got the other month. Any day. And actually watching Arc of Infinity again recently over the last week, loved it. I loved it. I thought it was just there's something about that 1983 season that's special for me. In fact, the whole thing, because there was a feeling of the 80s as well, wasn't there? And getting excited about Doctor Who coming on in the middle of the week, and you could talk about people at school about it the next day, which we did. And I don't know, it was just exciting. Both 19, 20 and 21, they're in a sort of, for me, a world of their own, really, just because I think that's when I got to my teenage years as well, and sort of fashion and music were playing an element of coming into my life a bit more,
With that Doctor though, you'd gone through season 19 where there might have been a suggestion that perhaps he was a little bit soft because Adric had died, and it was unheard of to those that couldn't remember back to Hartnell that companions died and things like that. But then you've got the end of Arc of Infinity where they're standing on that jetty and Omega's going to torch everything, and the Doctor's just calmly assembling a gun. He just puts it together, gives him the warning, and shoots him. And it's like, no, there's a steel to this Doctor that we're starting to see as Davison was really in his groove, I think.
I agree with you, and I actually see it again now, even at the age I am now, when I'm watching season 20 in Snake Dance as well. He's superb.
Yeah,
and he allows his doctor to be concerned over being bitten by the snake. Now, if that had been any of his predecessors, I think that, apart from Pat, maybe, but definitely Pertwee and Baker would have been in there.
Yeah.
And then he struggles after the effect of the venom. And then he gets to grips with it, doesn't he? And his metabolism overcomes this as he realizes, oh, this is a form of telepathy.
Yeah.
It's very clever. But I just love the way that Davison's a little bit concerned about this. His doctor's concerned. There's also an element in Mordred Undead, which I've always said foreshadows what eventually happens to the Fifth Doctor, because he's about to sacrifice his life for Nyssa and Tegan. Never mind the 8 of them, 8 of me, said for a reason, of the mutants, you know. And there's that lovely lovely scene where Tegan thanks him, but look what happens the year after.
Yeah,
he lays down his life, and there's no other way, you know. So it's a nice little what you would now call an arc. In those days, they just did it and didn't realize they were doing it. Digby, thank you so much for your super chat. Well put, panel. Doctor Who works best with adventure and imagination, a gentleman traveling space and time fighting evil. Absolutely. A lot of you in the chat telling us what they would do. Mark Greaves is saying 30-minute episodes with proper cliffhanger storylines. We've got to bring back the cliffhangers. I miss the cliffhangers. Honest to God.
30-minute slot, either 2 or 4 episodes per story. Yeah, that's got to be the way they go.
The cliffhangers are another one of those elements that the wider public in its subconscious remembers from Doctor Who. Never mind the 21st century stuff. They just remember that's a part of classic proper Doctor Who. The cliffhangers.
Yeah.
And the sting as the music came in.
What concerns me is that we now have an awful lot of kids that have grown up with it, like our own Kirsty and Emilio, who only see the cliffhangers when they look back at. It's such a shame that was taken away. The drama was taken away from new generations, because I think it would have worked, because we had those cliffhangers handed to us from our parents' generation, you know, because even in the comic strips of the newspapers, there were cliffhangers. Some of them are still going on, quite frankly. It's the same story. It's later that day, even though it's 75 years later. Thank you for that, Mark. Frankie is saying to us here, the Doctor just pottering about the universe, saving worlds and being pretty marvellous. Richard Brooks, the Doctor travelling with a companion, having fun and righting wrongs. And just Jordan, nice to see you, sweetie. Actual monsters or villains and proper sci-fi. Dom goes with us as well with yet another smashing Avatar. Wow. That's really good. And Richard Brooks, Monster of the Week. Stephen Braddock, please just go back to the time traveler, exploring time and space, saving people and meeting monsters. Exactly. Frankie's saying to us, take it away from the far left fortress of fantasy. And Jess, 4 weekly episodes, 1 story, 4-week gap, then another 4-week episode, classic Doctor Who, 4-week rest, and back to another 4 weeks, new future Doctor Who. That's an interesting formula. Interesting.
I don't think the weeks off would help. I think you want to build an audience.
You need to keep your audience and maintain it, don't you?
I think you'd have to show it. Personally, I would have to say 26 episodes for the season, 30 minutes, twice a week. Midweek. Never mind your traditional Saturdays. It's been broken before. It's been broken in the new series before as well. Somebody reminded me just the other day, Whittaker was on a Sunday, I believe.
Yeah, sure.
I would have it on instead of that crappy one show. 7 o'clock twice a week with a cliffhanger. You know, that's just me. What else we got there as well? Graham, tell you what, chaps, I think you've all hit the nail on the head. Totally agree with all your ideas. Oh,
we're here when you're ready, BBC.
Yes, exactly. God, it'd be a lot of. I would insist to anybody, we're not going next year. We're going in a few years' time, because there's so many things to do. The look of the show, the writers of the show, directors of the show, all the usual stuff. But the big thing is to sit down and go, how do we fix this bloody thing with the public? You know,
we should write it down and send it into Doctor Who magazine as an article about what we do.
Oh, they're not going to listen to us. Are they? Panini don't like us, honestly. Sharon Joy Reeds is with us. Hello, lovely. Back to sci-fi, less moralizing and more adventure. Exactly. That's all we all want, isn't it, really? If they'd just done that over the last few episodes, or last couple of years, it would be a phenomenal success, I think. And we would be going for a 3rd series now. Tony Farrell's Tyler saying, I agree with Ian, except we need the howl around title sequence with the Pertwee logo. I'm fond of that, but I have to say I am fond of the 80s title sequence as well, honestly. And I love Peter Howell's version of the music.
I love that theme. I do. I'm just wedded to that particular one in the 70s. My favourite being Pertwee's final season. That first tunnel sequence is just sublime to me. But I love Peter Howell's version as well. I really do.
It was always a thrill in Five Doctors, and it still is for me for a little bit as well, when you get the original version and then it mixes beautifully, of course, into the Peter Howell version. You know, I quite like that on the end credits. Absolutely gorgeous. Jess is saying to us here, a decent writing team, creativity team can turn any new Doctor into a legend. It's a walk in the park after what that lot did to trash Doctor Who, the hack writers. And that's what you've got to deal with now. You know, as I'm watching season 20 again on these Blu-rays, I'm just thinking, I'm engrossed. I'm back in there. I think this is Doctor Who. You know, I'm being entertained. I'm thinking, what's the next bit? What's the next bit? Even though it, you know, I can even watch The King's Demons now very happily. Honestly, I wasn't very impressed with it in 1983, but I've grown to love it. I really have. And I think it's because I've missed Doctor Who. I've missed the Doctor. And it's filmed beautifully as well. It really is The King's Demons. What else have we got? Dom goes saying to us, I know most people think the first 4 Doctors are untouchable, but I do like Davison, and revisiting it recently, I think it's comparable at least. Yeah, it is. Yes,
I think it's terrific.
Completely.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. There's enough. Like the first 4 Doctors are magical, they're golden, but Davison comes in there, I think, as well. And you know, the fact is, he was a culture shock to many because he was just at that point the youngest Doctor Who ever.
Yeah, and that's why he's so good. It's because it is a bit different. It's another version of it, but it still feels consistent. Whereas now we've got versions that are different, but completely separate from what has gone before.
Exactly. Yeah. But from my point of view as a 13-year-old, he was a breath of fresh air, and he was so representative of the 80s. And I've said this before as well. He's very Brideshead revisited. You know, I know that's, I mean, the blonde hair, the cricketing outfit, you know, the youthful step. It was very much, Doctor Who was very much in the mix of all those shows going around at the time. And that's down to Peter, as well as the writing and everything, you know, and his energy. Super chat from Mark here. Thank you, Mark. Ian, are there any stories from Doctor 4 onwards you would have liked to see Pertwee do, or would have suited him?
Blimey. I think it would have been interesting seeing Pertwee in Ark in Space with a Wirren. That environment would have intrigued me. And again, Pertwee meeting Davros. Aside from that, the only other one I could imagine would be Brain and Morbius. But as much as I loved him, the Doctor was Tom Baker from episode 1 of Robot. And I can't ever deny that. And it's difficult to imagine any 4th Doctor story without the 4th Doctor. But I think those 3, I would be intrigued to see how Pertwee would do it. But like I say, as much as I loved and love him, yeah, the Doctor was Tom Baker from episode 1 of Robot. You know, I was a little bit fickle even then.
Not at all. Not at all. Because I think it's interesting that what you've asked Ian there, Mark, because I can't see Tom doing any of Pertwee's stories, not one.
No. And it's interesting as well. We're talking about Peter Davison, aren't we? And Kayes of Androzani is one of the best Doctor Who stories ever by one of the best writers ever.
Yeah.
Directed, arguably, by one of the best action-packed directors probably since Douglas Camfield. And I can't imagine any other Doctor doing that. I can't imagine Pertwee, action-packed as he was, doing all that rolling down the hill at the end of episode, that scene in episode 4, that chase from the ship going right up to when the explosions go off. I can't imagine anybody but Davison doing that.
Throwing himself in, literally.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only reason it works is because you've got the vulnerability of the 5th Doctor.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And that, you know, all the way through when he's squaring up to Shara's Jack, like he's clearly the vulnerable person within that, environment, that situation, that planet. And someone like Pertwee or Tom Baker would you wouldn't have that same impact. I mean, just for my 2 pence, I kind of want to see Pertwee in Battlefield, because I can imagine the Destroyer and the Doctor with an epic sword fight would just be unbelievably good to see. But that's just where my mind
the Destroyer would pull off his mask and it'd be the Master.
Actually, that's the only thing I don't like about the King's Demons, actually, is because you get a repeat there. You get a sword fight there between Gilles Estram and the Fifth Doctor. And it's a nice choreographed sword fight. But why did they use electronic trickery? And why didn't he just pull off the mask? That would have been much nicer, I think, for Ainley just to go, "Ha ha, it's me, blah."
It's very similar to the way they did it in Castrovalva, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was also
it's a shame. It's a shame. I don't know. Dalek Dai Bando is saying to us, I thought Davidson was at his best in his final season. He matured into the part. You can actually see where he's going in this season, though. And we all know that Davidson wasn't happy in this season, even though I think it's brilliant. And the scripts were brilliant, but Davidson wasn't happy. Hence why he leaves. So it's a shame, really.
I remember listening to interviews and him saying that there was, a particular story that they were rushing to get done at the very end, and being told to just go on and say the lines and all that sort of stuff, and that kind of, pushed him into making the decision to go in the next year. Yeah. But if that third season had been a second season, then he would have stayed for a fourth.
He would have done, wouldn't he? Really? Yeah.
Which would have been interesting, given the potential stories that were lined up at the time, but then obviously things
changed.
We
all know what happened.
Dalek
Dai Bando was also saying to us, which is the episode in which Tegan and Nyssa become contaminated and age rapidly to within seconds of death? It's chilling body horror, that one. Well, that's Mordrin Undead.
Mordrin Undead, yeah.
Oh, Mordrin Undead. And I'm glad you brought that one up, Dalek Dai, because we have to mention Mordrin Undead, because something else happens in that story, which again for the 20th anniversary is just brilliant. It's the return of Nick, of course, as two versions of our beloved Brigadier. We've got the one here. We've got the 1977 version on the right, then the 1983 version. And yes, it's still controversial to this very, very day. But you know what? I don't care, because it actually works. I quite like it, and it's just great to see Nick in two different forms as well, isn't it, really? Even though the poor guy never knew what the hell was going on.
He pulled it off, though, didn't he?
He really did. He really, really did. And that whole thing where, and a few of you have already mentioned it in the chat, where the 1983 Brig gets his memory back simply because the Doctor pushes him into remembering, and you get that flashback season. I nearly fell off my seat back in 1983 with that, because again, that had only happened once the year before in Earthshock. And here we have a whole one here, which is actually suitable to the story. It's like the Earthshock one. It's not just like they do it today, don't they? And they show the alleged actors who have played the Doctor for no reason at all. It's not part of the story. They just tag it in. In Earthshock and here in Mordrin, it's relevant to the story.
That flashback, the build up to it, right to where he says 1 lump or 2 as the Brigadier snaps out of it and drops the sugar in the tea. That entire flashback sequence is beautiful. It's really well put together. They merge Nick Courtney's face as he looks round and then merges into his face as the Doctor in the TARDIS as he's looking around, and then straight into the Yeti. And it's just like you could not believe what you were seeing. I mean, all right, all had a sepia tint, didn't it? But you were seeing the Yeti, you were seeing the Invasion Cybermen, you were seeing the Axons, you were seeing everything. It was lovely. It really was lovely and really, really, really well done.
Yeah, and again, it suited, as I say, it fitted the story, but it also fitted the whole thing that we knew the show was 20, which was a big deal back then for those of you who weren't around. 1983, to celebrate a show's 20th anniversary was a big deal because there weren't many. You had Blue Peter, you had Corrie, Doctor Who.
Emmerdale wasn't 20 at that point, was it?
No, the Pops was around still, of course. So to get to 20, even in 1983, to get to a 20th anniversary was something to celebrate. And the amount of shows that did. Blue Peter had a fabulous one where they brought all the old presenters up until the daytime. I've still got the 20th anniversary badge that I won. Amazing. It was something to celebrate. And
yeah, I mean, something like Z-Cars didn't even get like.
No.
I mean, it had spin-offs and whatever, but like that, that was the kind of another big show that 20's unheard of. I mean, you can't you don't see it now.
No, not often at all. No. Although Reboot Who's come very close.
Well, it has in longevity, but it hasn't in series, has it?
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, it's not continuous. The original Doctor Who, of course, was 26 original series back to back, not 1 year off.
26 in 26 years, not 15 in 20.
Well, I know what you're going to say. The hiatus. I know you're going to say that bit, but they went to work in 85. We had the series in 85. They went to work 85, 86, and we still got a series in 86.
Yeah.
So it was still continuous. Richard Brooks, would you behave? Chameleon is the best thing in season 20.
when it worked.
He used to sit in the corner of the room and write some lines, I think.
What's this from Tony Farrell? JT, did you know that the King's Demons featured the final appearance of both the original TARDIS main doors from 63 and of the console built for Pertwee, which debuted in Close of Access? I did, actually, yeah. I've got a really soft spot for that console, really.
It's not that console.
That one that we've grown up with, though, from Tom into Peter, and it's been added to with various bits and pieces, especially for this season, like the recall unit and stuff like that. I've got a soft spot for that, but I love the one that comes up in the Five Doctors. I just adore that.
My favorite.
Gorgeous. And when I see it in these days today, I go right back to 83 on the Five Doctors when I first see it for the first time. Just like, ooh, twinkly. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
Character options, a TARDIS console room set like that would sell.
Do you know what? I can't believe that Colin and Sylve don't notice that when they're watching the Five Doctors. There's their set. And they've been watching this other one for several episodes now. And then they see that neither of them go, oh, hang on a minute.
I mean, Colin spends a lot of time in that console room. Sylve, not so much, but...
True. Yeah. Hello, Hartnell's Ghost. How are you? The problem some of us had with Davison at the time was he was seen by me and others as Tristan from All Creatures. There was a loss of that, wasn't there? Really, because he was such a huge show. All Creatures, Great and Small. That's what you call typecasting by the public, though. And Davis and Peter must have been aware of it too, to be quite honest. It's a shame, really, isn't it? It was. Graham wants to know, am I alone in liking Terminus? Such a wonderful grim atmosphere. No, I like Terminus as well. I think it is a very interesting story. So no, I like it. I can watch it anytime now.
Yeah,
it's great. I think it is. I don't like the whole center of the universe kind of element of it, but the idea of Lazar disease and the Vanya that are really just trying to keep going and struggling to do so it's a great story. And the fact that the Garm is there as this massive cuddly giant, he knows it works, and nobody's been listening to him to say this is what it's Nyssa that listens to him, it's Nyssa that understands, and Nyssa that says, right, we're working together, mate, we're going to turn this into a hospital. The realization of the Garm is not ideal.
No.
Should we say? But the idea is top notch.
Yeah. I agree with that.
It's lovely when you see him now, though, isn't it? Really, because he's in Neil's museum, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's looking well.
Yeah, he does. He looks very healthy and happy. All these. I mean, he didn't get any work after Doctor Who. He auditioned for Corrie. Yeah, he auditioned for Corrie, Cat's Eyes, Dempsey and Makepeace. Didn't get any. Poor fella. Anyway, so if you want to go and see him, he's in Neil Cole's Museum of Science Fiction. That's something to go. He looks great as well. He's been looked after over there with Neil. Let's have a look. Stephen Genie for I'm having you now. Only the 50th anniversary rivaled the 20th. Not at all. Wasn't a patch. Not a patch. I'm going to say that. No, the 50th anniversary didn't come anywhere near the huge amount of stuff that was going on in 1983. For me, it'll always be 1983 first, then possibly 73 is the best year because we got the Three Doctors and they didn't know what they were doing then. But the 50th, they didn't even look at the template for 1983, which they should have done, and just repeated it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think as well, I would actually argue that in the wilderness years, 1993, because we had an adventure in time and space, and then the release of the video with the extended version. But that documentary, Kevin Davies's documentary, I thought was groundbreaking. I thought still remains one of the best documentaries for Doctor Who ever made, I think.
Yeah, 93, you had to be there for that one as well. It wasn't on the scale as 83 for obvious reasons. The show wasn't on air, but there was an expectation, and the amount of conventions you could go to, and I did in 1993. And we also had merchandise. BBC Worldwide really went for it. And I mean, the videos that were coming out, they upped their game. You know, a little bit. We had that lovely logo. The books, we had the Virgin New Adventures going across with that logo. The magazine was going, the monthly was going strong, but it was mainly fans. We made that year, 93. It was a different year, but it was a good year. So I would say it was actually, I'd say it was 83, 93, 73 personally. But I don't think
internet fandom was taking off with chat rooms and things like that. So that was very much the early days of the internet, wasn't it? And people were organizing and talking on a much wider area. People were talking to each other almost in real time across continents about not just Doctor Who, but about Doctor Who. And it was a good time to be around, even though it wasn't on TV. Bizarrely,
it was strange, wasn't it? Yeah, absolutely strange.
In Bedwell, you'd have been what, 5? I don't know, but it was a good time.
I remember. I remember 93, and because that was about. This is when I'm starting to get into Doctor Who, and seeing. I mean, I was collecting the VHSs, so seeing that 30th anniversary logo on spines and whatever. I recently got a pin badge, which was a 60th version of that logo, which is really cool because that logo kind of that 1993 era. Really speaks to me. But just going back to like 2013, I think the difference between 2013 and 1983 is that the quality of the episodes in this is much better than the episodes we got in 2013 because there were some real duds that year. You know, things like, the Rings of Akaten and Journey to the Center of the TARDIS and Nightmare in Silver with bad. Like, there were some real dud stories that year. Obviously, like the 50th special was great, and that was all very exciting. And in the November was good. But yeah, the product on the telly that year wasn't on a par with what we had in season 20 with, the stories we've talked about already.
Well, John Nathan Turner did a great job. Love him or loathe him. He did a fabulous job in 1983. He gave us a series of 7 cracking stories. Made sure the 5 Doctors was in the can. Got the conventions going. The big one being in Chicago, but there was stuff here in the UK as well. He got Doctor Who on every BBC television show, going to celebrate it. So the Longleat Festival, of course, the biggest one ever. As I said before, our Woodstock. Never to be repeated, never ever to be that popular again with the British public. It's not going to happen ever again. The exhibitions in both Blackpool and Longleat were packed, absolutely packed. They were celebrating the Doctor's 20th anniversary. I remember going to Blackpool twice that year for the exhibition and loving every minute of it. And on one occasion, you had to queue to get in because people wanted to see the Doctor's 20th anniversary. The books that were coming out, the Target books were coming out. As I say, there were the other things that were coming out merchandise-wise. It was just gigantic. And I'm glad that a lot of it is on this edition of the Blu-ray. So announced today. It's on the way, everybody. It's this. It's the standard edition of Doctor Who, The Collection, Season 20, recommended retail price of $34.99. Yes, 9. It's available to pre-order right now, and it will be out with you, as we say on the scroll below there, in September. But you can pre-order it now from all the usual stockists. And as you can see there, 29th of September is the day that it'll be arriving in your grubby little protuberances. Isn't that exciting?
It is a shame, isn't it? It is a shame that it has to have that variant logo on it.
Oh, don't start me.
It really should have the appropriate era logo on that. I really think that it's such a shame.
I think we all agreed on that one. I just wish they'd stuck to those ideas. It would have been a lot easier.
But I will say, at least they have been consistent with it.
Yeah.
Because it would have looked worse had they, done, shifted to something else.
Yeah. But had they gone for each Doctor's logo, it wouldn't have mattered.
That would have worked, yeah. If it had,
to suit the era, it wouldn't have mattered, would it? But no, I'm excited about this standard release again, everybody. I hope you are as well. For those of you who are getting this, a lot of you in the chat saying you're getting it as well. You've already ordered it, which is fantastic. So yeah, brilliant. I'm glad you've joined us for this our show tonight for Merchandise Paradise Live, where we have, of course, been looking at season 20. Thanks to Third Doctor Ian, and thanks to Bedweir for coming on. Great chat there, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, loved it. Really happy.
Yeah,
great.
Very excited. Where are we going next when it goes to the Blu-rays? I've no idea. I don't think there's anything else due this year, but they might surprise us. We are still, of course, waiting, if you're interested, for the full listing of what comes out on the Blake 7 Series 2 Blu-ray box set, which is due for release in October. So stay tuned with us. If you're new to the channel, welcome. It's great to see you. Please make sure you're subscribed and give us a like on this this show as well. If you're still with us, or if you've been with us for a little while, make sure you're still with us by going to make sure that you're still subscribed. That would be fantastic. From the moment, our next scheduled show, I won't tell you actually. Keep tuned. We might have something else coming for you. And don't forget, headlines will be on Sunday, but might have something else coming up for you very soon as well. From Bedweir, from Third Doctor Ian and myself. Until we see you again, take care. Have a great night. Have a great day tomorrow, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody. Ciao. Ooh, look at that. He's on the way. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.